As the UAE was serious when it raised its right hand for peace, it is also serious in investing in this peace for the goodness of its people and the region. And very quickly, the season of harvest has arrived. A collaboration, agreements, promising ones in many sectors, in finance, economy, and even businesses. Investments here and industries there, and even manufacturing, and many ambitions for collaborations that will come back with goodness on both countries and the region, away from show-offs. Today, we follow up the results of the arrival and the visit of the UAE delegation to Israel, and what will be announced about at the end of these conversations. And with us here in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, is Dr. Erel Margalit, the founder and executive chairman of JVP and Margalit Startup City. Welcome, Doctor.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
After New York, Doctor, and London, Milan, Paris, Berlin, Jerusalem, right now, at the present, we're here in Dubai. Why in this destination?
For us Israelis, after reaching New York and London and Paris and Asia, the place that we were longing to reach for a very long time is so close to home, which is our own region, which is our neighboring countries. And for us to be able to come to an Arab country which is leading business the way the United Arab Emirates is leading is such an important moment. It's so moving for us that we are hoping to be able to do together something that is grand. Under the leadership of Mohammed bin Zayed and Khalifa bin Zayed and Mohammed bin Rashid here in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, we are hoping to be able to bring together not only political leaders, but also business leaders. And the content of peace can be given by the entrepreneurs after the politicians have signed and given us the way.
Dr. Erel, that's a wonderful answer. There are a lot of areas where we cross paths here, one of which is innovation, a language that we speak loudly here in the UAE. And in terms of that, can you tell me how important is innovation today, not only for businesses, but for the sake of survival, human survival and advancement survival?
I think that we see that after COVID, after the pandemic, after the world has undergone major challenges, some new themes and new concepts need to be brought forward, and innovation is such an important part of it. Healthcare. We can no longer just work with watching people's health in the large medical centers. We need to use technology in order to come to their homes, in order to monitor their capabilities. Food and food security. One of the things that is moving us in what you are doing here is taking food and agriculture to the next level. Not only to the 35,000 farmers that exist in the UAE that are looking for a living, but also for the region, using food security, water, drip irrigation, alternative protein, in order to feed people, because so many people in our region are looking for food and looking for a future and hope. And also technology, especially for the large financial organizations, is the one thing that will help large banks, large insurance companies, also reach the small business, not just the big company. The small business, because it gives you artificial intelligence that allows you to say to these people, yes, I can trust them, because these people are honest, and I can give them a loan just like I gave a loan to the large company. And also cybersecurity. You know, many of the banks, many of the refineries, many of the utility companies, many of the privacy of the individuals is being attacked. And people want to know that the civilian population can be safe, that when you go to an airport, nobody's going to harm your plane, that when you go to the hospital, nobody's going to inject your formula. And so cybersecurity to protect civilians, to protect people, not just large companies, is so important. And so these themes have been the themes that we are moved to see how much the United Arab Emirates are embarking on. And for us, it would be a privilege. It would be a privilege to be involved, to be helpful, to be somewhat of a partner in this endeavor or that endeavor. And the things that I've seen here today, not only the ministers, which are inspiring, not only the very successful business people, which are very successful, but also the young entrepreneurs. We met young Emirati and international entrepreneurs here in Dubai, men, women that have great ideas. And for us, as JVP, as Margalit Startup City, we come into a place with the creative people and help them do something larger than what they thought they would do in the beginning. And for us, this would be a great privilege and a great honor to be a part of.
I would like to relate to a very important aspect you just mentioned in your answer. That was quite the survival kit you just brought to us, and I'm sure there's a lot of common. However, the greatest element the UAE believes in that is worth the investment has always been the youth, has always been the next generation. And in order to, rather than passing on a treasure or something materialistic, we believe in passing on a flag and a vision. In order for the next generation to take the mantle and that responsibility, job opportunities have to be created. And this brings us to this question: what needs to be done now to create jobs for a growing younger population, not only here on a specific country, but across the region?
That's a wonderful question. You know, in my city, in our city in Jerusalem, which is a city of many beliefs and many religions, from Islam, for Christianity, for Judaism, there were many divisions. And one of the ways that we brought the city together is through innovation and education and community. And we are very active within the young community, both Jewish and Arab, which are sometimes underprivileged, because not everyone is privileged. And the way we brought them into the scale of jobs and hope is through education and innovation, allowing young Arab students, young Jewish students to come together after the hardship and to be able to be part of the creative society. And I think that for now, so many of the young people in our region are educated, have gone to university, have gone and are doing something interesting, and they want a chance, because people cannot make it alone. They need a chance. A generation needs a chance. You know, my generation received a chance when we had a leader, Yitzhak Rabin, may he rest in peace, which gave a calling to my generation: come and innovate and do something grand for your country. Now we say, come and innovate and let's do something grand for our region, because our region needs jobs, it needs food, it needs healthcare, it needs to use the creativity of the young people for the embetterment of the jobs and the security of people around the region that want hope, that want to be part of their creative society and want to make a living and want to have a family. And I think that for many of these people, it is our responsibility, especially a place that's so successful like Dubai or Abu Dhabi. One of the things that is moving us to see you is how large you are across the region. You are a small country, but you are ambitious, and you are large traders. You are ancient traders. It is in your history. And we are looking at your capabilities and we say, wow, such a small country. A city is built in a few years to a level that has never been before. But not only that, when you have a project here in insurance or insurtech, or when you have a product here in healthcare IT for hospitals, one of the things that we are impressed, you are reaching 3 billion people yourself in sort of a regional effort. So for Israelis, while we sell in North America or in Europe or in the eastern part of Asia, we want to be part of this region. And sometimes you need strong partners to be able to understand your region slowly. Because if Egypt has a large agricultural project which needs new water strategies because of the Mayday Dam crisis, we would be delighted to work with UAE investors on helping solve some of the problems, maybe trying to bring some ideas so that crops can grow when water are scarce.
And every point you give me an answer to leads us to a next question. You do strike me as a visionary man, Doctor. And therefore, let me ask you this. What is your technological vision for the future following the signing of the accord between the UAE and Israel?
So we are known as the Fertile Crescent in history. This is the place where agriculture was invented. This is the place where wheat was domesticated. This is the place where people came together in agricultural villages for the first time near Jericho and Jordan. And so what is our role? Our region has great capabilities, but it also has great challenges. We have people and brothers in places like Lebanon which don't have food, and people like to portray how we are fighting, but we are caring. And many people in Lebanon are people that we want to work with. They are on our border. We see refugees in Syria that are needing help. We see people across the region that are needing the next generation. So with your leadership, with some other countries, with maybe Saudi Arabia coming to the table, with maybe Egypt rising to the challenge, with Morocco, with Tunisia, we are saying this: the countries have challenges, but the cities in our regions are striking. They have been striking through history. We say 10 cities, 10 projects, 10 things that will change the way you think about the Mediterranean and the Middle East and the Gulf countries. We say the power of Yallah. Let's go forward. Young people, older people, the power to make change, innovation, and bring other people, because when you're successful in business, one of the things that is most striking in this country, the people don't only want to succeed. Many of them are very successful. They want to make a difference. They are thinking about impact. In the Jewish tradition, we have a saying called tikkun olam, the mending of the world. And so you mend the world by picking one piece after the other. Each one of these pieces is a piece of the great light of God. And if you do one justice, one act of courtesy, you are mending the world. And so if we can mend the world in our imagination, we can mend our region by working together, by doing business strategies that are socially interesting, by bringing food, by bringing water, by bringing healthcare, by bringing things that will give people jobs and livelihood. We are excited, and it makes all the Israelis that came with me on this trip not only seeking business, by seeking meaning, by trying to do something that's meaningful for their lives. So we feel this is an historic visit, this is an important visit, and we say to our friends in Israel, you need to come, you need to see.
COVID-19, Dr. Erel, the pandemic, the crisis that exposed perhaps the strength and both fragility of both individuals, nations, and systems, has greatly affected the economy everywhere. Now the question here is a what and a who. What and who will drive the economy post the COVID-19 pandemic, in your opinion?
So I think we're looking for leadership. Leadership is one which needs to listen as much as talk, because we see with COVID that we need to be very careful. You cannot come to COVID with just strength. You need to come to COVID with intelligence. You need to differentiate between the red zones and the green zones. You need to be able to help and check and do things together. But you look at the cities and you see that the leadership needs to come also from the business community. People need to come back to their offices slowly but safely. People need to come back to their schools. People need to come back and understand that creativity, as much it could be done on Zoom, it should be done face to face, like we're doing it here, because there's nothing that replaces it. So I say Startup City is the name of my company. Now we need to say Restart Up City. Cities need to restart themselves. And I say to many people, the rich have gone out of the city. I say to the young, come take the city back to yourselves. I see affordable housing. I see young people coming back to the places that were once very expensive. We're very active in New York. We are now bringing the people from Columbia University, Cornell, NYU, CUNY back to the streets and saying, this is the time to create. This is the time to come back. This is the time to invent, to do things together. And we say to the business leaders, do not wait just for the political leaders. The fact that you have a nice house outside the city, it's wonderful. But the baker in your community needs you. The small business needs you, because if you're not here, you're not buying, they go out of business. And so slowly we need to bring back cities to life. And one of the things that's so impressive here in Dubai, yes, people are careful. Yes, we are checking ourselves. Yes, you need to see that everybody's healthy. But people are working, they are meeting, they are interacting, and I say, I salute you in the way you're doing this here, because this will bring back the energy to the cities and to the people who want to see other people so that they can do the next great thing.
Dr. Erel, this fusion, this unification, this accord, which sectors of the economy do you believe is going to benefit the most from the Israel and UAE normalizing relations?
So I think technology is a big thing. We talked about healthcare. Healthcare is important, but healthcare IT is connecting healthcare strategies by the IT to the home, to the remote place, not just to the large medical center. What's called community medicine. People are looking and seeing what was happening with the food, what was happening when trade was very dangerous, and they're saying we need to be self-sufficient with food, we need to be self-sufficient with our agriculture, we need urban agriculture, we need water strategies, alternative protein, another big sector. And then, as I said, artificial intelligence is going to be helping every part of the business to be able to digitize and understand what the consumer, what the individuals really want. And then I think that maybe the most striking new phase that we're looking at is education tech. People cannot just work on Zoom and study on Zoom. You need new strategies in education, like you have computer games, like you have experience, like you have different things that you're doing. And I think education used to be about text. Now education is about telling stories, about showing films, about visualizing, not just analyzing. And I think that if people can participate in what they're learning, they become much better students, and they identify with what they're learning. So this is another big theme that I think we all need to think about and bring the next generation of technologies.
Dr. Erel, this interview is like reading a book, and as much as I am introduced to your vision, as much as I am introduced to how do you define the world, it makes one really believe that the world is bigger than what they perceive it to be, and all it takes is to meet someone new or go and venture to a place you've never been before. Therefore, I'd like to ask you, you are a leading entrepreneur, Doctor.
Thank you.
So what is your message to the people who are watching us right now? People who are watching and who have big dreams and ambitions. What would you like to tell them?
So I say, after COVID, when everybody stayed at home, what we're looking for, Youssef, is meaning. And I see that a journey to your destiny is first and foremost a journey to yourself. Find out what you are passionate about, what matters to you. It can represent money, but it doesn't have to. It needs to be something that's important to you, maybe to your friends. See who are your real friends. Cherish them. See who's your family. Cherish them. And then if you want to do something, do it. Don't think about the how. Think about the why and the what. You'll figure out the how. And I say to people, this is a time where innovators can be cherished when there's a time of crisis. Remember, in history, every time we had a crisis, we came up with ideas that were larger from what we came into the crisis when we came out. And maybe all of this is a lesson to all of us, how humble we need to be. With great technology and everything, a pandemic brings everybody, puts them at home. The next big crisis is going to be the planet. It's going to be the survival of the planet, the livelihood, and how we conduct our agriculture, our energy, how we work with our environment is going to determine a great deal for what your kids and my kids, your grandkids and my grandkids will inherit on this planet. And we have to work together in order to make this work. And I say again, yalla.
A wonderful response. It is indeed a reality that individuals are subject to make mistakes, and therefore collaborative work, regardless of our differences, is required in order to make sure our collective approach is unmistakable. Dr. Erel Margalit, of course, the founder and executive chairman of JVP and Margalit Startup City. You've been right here with us in the studio. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity.
Youssef and the audience, I say to you, Salam alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu min Urushalim al-Quds.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.